Megan. Glad to have you on InstaTravelStyle Podcast.
Hi there, thank you so much for having me.
Welcome. And guys, hello to one and all. I am your host Sumit Sharma, and I welcome you all to my another podcast of InstaTravelStyle Podcast Series. And today we have with us Megan from mappingmegan.com blog. She is an award-winning travel blogger, and she has been travel blogging since 2007. So you can say she is from early stage when the travel blogging got inception in this domain, and she has traveled to 100 plus countries so far, covered almost 7 continents, and she is running successfully running a community of 60,000 plus solo female travel bloggers around 100 plus countries. So, and her articles have been featured in publications such as National Geographic, New York Times, Forbes, and British Airways as well. She also promotes the idea of ecotourism and responsible travel. So, Megan, happy to have you on my podcast. Can you share like few things about you and about yourself, about your travel blog, like how you get into travel blogging and from where it got all started? Over to you.
Absolutely. Sure thing. So as you can probably tell by my accent, I'm Australian. So absolutely obsessed with travel, have loved it from a very early age. And as you mentioned, I started my travel blog very early in terms of kind of the realm of online travel blogs, right? So
Yeah.
2007, I had just graduated high school. Feels like I'm feeling my age now as I'm saying that because that was, 13 years ago. But had just left high school and decided to take a gap year in between high school and university, which is a very common thing for students to do in Australia. So I took 12 months off and got a job at a boarding school in the UK, and that gave me 17 weeks to kind of travel throughout Europe throughout the year, and just really fell in love with travel. So had a blog, and at that time it was more just kind of to let mum and dad back home know that I wasn't getting into too much trouble, and kind of keeping everybody updated on my travels because I've always loved writing as well. And then came back home, did university as kind of a normal, at that time, more traditional student would do, and just took every opportunity to keep traveling. So student exchanges, I studied international human rights in Prague, went to Amsterdam and studied in Maastricht in the Netherlands, spent some time in The Hague, and also kind of did those study abroad experiences to put back into my law degree just because I wanted every opportunity to travel because I was just in love with it. And yeah, then I finished my degree in 2013, and at that time I learned and started hearing about all these kind of professional travel bloggers, right? So I was still running a hobby blog at that time and just writing for the passion of it. But then it blew my mind when I heard that these people were actually making money from it and doing travel blogging as a career and digital content creation. So I kind of assumed at the time, well, why can't I do that too? Like that's what I love to do, love to pair it together. So I just finished a 5-year double degree in law and journalism. And it was very funny because everybody would always ask me, oh, so which part of law are you going into? And just kind of the assumption was that the law degree was kind of the more, I guess, the better degree, and the journalism was just something I'd kind of done on the side. But now I'm utilising my journalism degree more than my law degree because ever since have been a full-time digital content creator. So that was kind of the evolution, and yeah, just decided at the time to follow the dream and make it happen because it's something that I wanted to do, and I've never kind of saw myself at the time as being an entrepreneur, but that's where the path has kind of led me. So yeah, been traveling ever since.
Okay, so you have achieved so far in like last 13 years. So what are your vision and mission ahead after 2021 once the post-COVID era? What are your vision and what are your missions? Do you have certain goals for yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So honestly, achieving a bit of a better life balance at this stage. When we started travel blogging, it was all about the travel. So we put as much travel in as possible. We were doing whirlwind trips, traveling full time, new countries every 4 days, and that gets really tiring after a while. And then we came back after a stint of full-time travel for a couple of years and really settled down. So we bought a house, settled into, I have now like a permanent work from home office space when I'm not traveling. So really kind of settled down into having a permanent base that we travel to and from. And now that we have that set up, kind of the evolution has evolved to where I'm now completely addicted to my content creation. So from all of the stories that we've got, even if we're not traveling. So for instance, nobody's really traveling right now during COVID. But all of the stories that we've got from those many, many years of travels, I could write forever. And obviously writing is my second passion. So I'll be going 16-hour days online without realizing, just because I'm so in love with what I do. So right now, I would say work-life balance is probably the goal, just because you can get very, very sucked into a world that you love and not realize that there is anything outside of that world. So it took a pandemic for me to realize that my normal is everyone else's version of isolation. To put that into perspective for you.
Yeah. So how you are utilizing this COVID era, like the lockdown thing? Are you doing any kind of new initiatives, exploring new platforms right now? What are you up to these days?
So myself and my husband are really focusing on exploring our home state. And yes, that's kind of out of practicality because borders are closed right now, obviously. But we moved to Tasmania, which is the little heart-shaped island at the bottom of Australia. So we moved to Tasmania about 3 years ago now. And we've just really been trying to focus the last 3 years on exploring our own state, because so many people just miss out on what's immediately around them, because we always just jump on a plane and go to the furthest possible place away. But I always figure, like, people spend thousands of dollars to come to Australia and visit my country. So why would I not take advantage of what's literally right here in my backyard?
We should explore the local and neighbor places and explore the local vendors and support them right now. They are much needed right now.
Absolutely, and that too. And it's a really, really great way to support your local economies, because every country around the world is obviously struggling in the tourism industry, and everyone who's relied on tourism has obviously lost that source of income. So as travelers, if we can actually kind of look at the glass half full scenario, and go out and see your local state, see your local country, you're also at the same time supporting that tourism industry to get back on track. And it's like super fun too. There is nothing wrong with your home country, with seeing your home country. As I said, like, people around the world spend thousands of dollars to visit you. So take advantage of the fact that you can see it, and then you can come straight back home and sleep on your same pillow and have that luxury.
Right. And you're also running a solo female travelers club, which has women travelers, solo female travelers from around 100 plus countries, and there are around 60,000 plus members of that group. So what's your vision behind that group? So how you go about creating that group for only female travelers, like solo female travelers? What is the idea behind that?
Yeah, absolutely. So Solo Female Travelers is a Facebook group, which is run by myself and my best friend Mark Ages. And so it's actually very exciting because the group is 5 years old on July 17. So we're very excited.
There is a giveaway also going on.
It means that it was the first. Yes. So we're giving away $10,000 in travel prizes for the community to celebrate 25, because it means we were the first community of solo female travelers on Facebook. So super excited about that. And we reached out to some of our favorite travel brands to donate some really cool prizes. So we're giving away things like a 4-day wellness retreat in Bali, 9-day Greek getaway, which looks amazing. So it's largely the community is for female travelers who love to travel solo, and we just really want to empower people to take up travel, even if you don't have friends to come with you, or even if you haven't found your partner to travel with, type thing. Because we find that even though it's 2020 and the whole gender equality is a lot more progressed than it used to be, and it's very well known that women can do everything men can. But we still find that if you say to someone in the street, "Oh, I'm a woman and I travel alone," there's still kind of like the raised eyebrows, or "Oh, like, are you safe?" and those type of questions. And there's a perception among the majority of people that it's unsafe for women to travel alone, or dangerous, or many women might be scared to do so. So we founded this community to really empower women to go out there and have the adventure of their lifetime, and not wait for friends or partners who might not want to do it too, because ultimately otherwise you'll be waiting the rest of your life.
Yeah, absolutely right. So you have traveled to 100 plus countries. So what keeps you motivated to travel more and inspire other travelers to travel more? Like, what is your inner self tell you every time you explore new country, go to new place? So how you keep yourself motivated?
It's just like, it's exciting for me, so it's very easy to stay motivated, and it's largely just to experience something new. So you go to a new country, and it's a place you've been to. It's a culture you might not have come into contact with yet. The people are new, the landscapes are new, the wildlife are new. So a big part of myself and my husband's travels, we have a big focus on ecotourism and responsible travel, and we love interacting. Well, not interacting necessarily, because we do have that big
Okay.
focus and emphasis on responsible travel, but observing local wildlife. So we really love that aspect, like nature-based tourism, trekking, hiking. So yeah, it's new, and when you're constantly experiencing new things, it keeps your brain active and alive, and it just feels like you're constantly discovering. So I guess there's that feeling of just constant exploration, which is what really motivates me to keep going, I guess.
Okay. Okay. Awesome. That's good. And so, what is your like favorite place in the world which you have traveled so far from the 100 plus countries, and why it is your favorite place?
Probably Antarctica. So I don't know, it's not a country. Um, Antarctica was just incredible, and it was a very special moment because it was for both my husband and myself, it was our seventh continent for both of us. So it was very exciting to kind of step foot on that continent and kind of now say we visited every continent in the world. But Antarctica was incredible because it's just so pristine, and you never see a more untouched, wild, pristine landscape like that in your life. And it's very humbling and it's very overwhelming just because the gravity of how big the landscapes are and how powerful they are. So we spent a night camping out on the ice, which was interesting because we did it without tents. We got off our ship and they gave us a shovel and a bivy bag, which is kind of like a sleeping bag basically, and we dug ourselves a hole in the ice, and then we put our sleeping bags out, and then we went to sleep in our hole in the ice. But yeah, just the silence that night and just unpolluted air, unpolluted skies, huge glaciers carving off like the ice shelves, and just the sound that makes. Whales, humpback whales that just swim straight past you, and the wildlife there, because they haven't had negative experiences with humans. We're there to observe the wildlife. Obviously, once again, your role is not to interact with them. You want to make as minimal impacts as possible. But they're not afraid of humans, so they're super curious. So penguins will come up to you and they'll literally like pop over your toes, and humpback whales or seals will literally come within meters of your boat. So it was just the most incredible experience, and it really felt like one of those exploration, like you kind of dream of being an explorer type thing. It felt like a genuine expedition, like a genuine journey, I guess, as opposed to travel can often feel really watered down these days. But Antarctica was just everything I imagined and more. So yeah, I know it's technically not a country, so I think that's a bit of a cheat on answering the question. But that would definitely be the kind of favorite place.
Okay. Okay. Great. And when do you like travel? How do you plan your itinerary? Do you stay in hostels or connect with locals? Like, or do you prefer luxury travels? How do you plan
It
out
really
your?
depends on the trip.
Okay.
Yeah, for us, it really depends on the trip and depends on where we're going. So, for instance, Antarctica, we went on an expedition cruise ship, and your cabins, you have kind of a wide degree of cabins, but because of the costings, we went in, like, you have luxury cabins which you can pay more. We went for a standard cabin with that. If we're going on a trip to, let's say, Morocco, where it would be incredible to camp in the Sahara Desert, we'll choose that. If we're going into the Australian rainforest and there are glamping options, we'll go with a glamping option. If you're going into the middle of the city and we can find an amazing deal on a 5-star hotel, we'll do that. So yeah, it really just kind of depends. Like Mongolia, you can sleep in yurts, which is a lot more authentic and traditional than kind of staying in just an average hotel. So yeah, it just really depends. We're kind of open and flexible to everything. We prioritize the experience.
Okay. Okay. So you read when you plan your itinerary. Do you read any kind of blogs published by other authors or other travel bloggers before planning your trip, or do you do spontaneous travel?
Yeah, absolutely. So, and I apologise for the noise. I live right on a railway track, so we have the train in Tasmania now going by. If you're hearing the noise.
Yeah. I heard.
Yeah, so I would love to be able to do spontaneous travel, but I'm a little bit of a control organisational freak, so I love my spreadsheets at the same time. Spontaneous travel is a very kind of romantic, notional way to travel, and I would love to be able to do it, but yeah, my inner OCD nerd can't just can't handle the concept of not knowing where, rocking up to a place and not knowing where I'm staying for the night and not having an address. So I plan my travels out quite far in advance, and I have quite detailed itineraries. So I always go. We do allow for a little bit of flexibility in the actual day-to-day, because obviously, like, you get to a place, it's great to just kind of walk around and get lost and not have a set itinerary. But in terms of knowing your flights and knowing your accommodation and knowing that you have a place to sleep for the night, I have all of that planned out, and then print out your confirmations and keep it in a nice binder and all of that fun organizational stuff.
Okay. And how do you monetize your blog right now? And what are your successful plans you have experimented earlier? Like, what goes well with you? Like, affiliate works well with you, or the sponsored post well with you? Like, what goes well with you, and what goes really bad for you? Like, in terms of monetizing your blog.
Yeah, for sure. So I think for monetizing a blog, this is really dependent on the person, right? And there are a million different ways that you can make money as an online content creator, and it's really just limited to your imagination. So for us personally, content creation and sponsor posts work really well for us because we have a strong background in storytelling and in creating content. As I mentioned earlier, I have a degree in journalism, so that's what I really love to do. I really love to write, and that's why that specific creating content for advertisers is something that I vibe really well with. And then also, obviously, so as you go through my website and many other people's websites these days, you'll notice that in-content advertising, so the pop-up ads that show up, and that's a great way to monetize a website as well. Affiliate marketing, as you've mentioned, so you reach out to brands that you love, and that's based on a commission-based structure. So if you're already recommending someone, so let's say G Adventures, they have amazing tours. I met my husband actually on a G Adventures tour. So you would reach out to them, sign up for their affiliate program, and then if your readers purchase tours through your links, then you're paid a commission. And so that's another great way, but it really is only limited to your imagination. So for instance, I use my blog as a platform for freelance writing. So many brands will reach out and ask if I can write for their blog as well, which is a great way to obviously kind of keep jobs coming in when you might not have as much going on your blog. You can write for other travel brands, and in that sense, a blog can really work as a portfolio of your work. So for instance, if you're a photographer, you can use your blog as a portfolio to sell photography. Another way you can monetize is having a shop. So many bloggers have merchandise, or they might sell guides to different places. So there's really a ton of different ways that you can make money, and it's kind of just as creative as you can get.
Okay. So how do you manage your content across all the platforms? For example, Facebook, Instagram, and blog. Like, how do you manage all of them? Do you any kind of tools, or do you do any kind of scheduling before? How do you prepare the content?
For sure. So as I mentioned, I'm a bit of an organizational freak. So I have Excel spreadsheets. So I have an editorial calendar, which has all of my blog content that I'm writing on. So it's a month-by-month calendar, and I have each day, and then I can see under that day what's going live on Facebook, what's going live on Instagram, what's going live on the blog. And then there are other tools. So for instance, Facebook's Creative Studio, you can schedule Facebook posts and Instagram posts, and so I'll do that like once a week. And that type of thing. So everything's in one main Excel document, and then for each platform itself, you have different tools that allow you to schedule, which just really helps the time efficiency. It's a lot easier if you can kind of do things in bulk in terms of content.
Awesome. So what are your suggestions for new bloggers and content creators who come into the field of travel blogging and travel vlogging? So do you have any kind of suggestion or thoughts for them?
Yeah, for sure. So definitely play to your strengths. Because for instance, if you're an amazing photographer, you should definitely play to your strengths and focus your content on photography. And that might mean that you don't need to be on TikTok, or you might prioritize Instagram because that's a more visual-based platform, right? Whereas if your skills are you're really strong in writing content, pick a platform and pick a business strategy that really plays to those skills. So I think a lot of content creators and a lot of bloggers make the mistake of thinking that they need to be everywhere and they need to do everything and they need to be pro at everything. But for instance, I can't edit videos. I can be in videos, but I can't edit videos. So we don't have a very big YouTube presence because the time it takes me to create content that I'm not good at type thing, it's not worth putting your energy into. So we really focus on creating blog articles that really play into my strength for storytelling. So I would definitely say know what your skills are and know what you're strong at, and then build a business structure. Or you can obviously be doing it for a hobby as well. It's not always about business, but build a strategy around your strengths.
Okay, awesome. And do you want to share some insights about how do you pitch to the brands for paid collaborations in travel domain? Like, what is the
For
secret
sure. So
ingredient?
really, it's so you'll build up a reputation over time
Mhm.
as you grow, and I think that's one area that people really underestimate. They set up a blog or they set up an Instagram channel, and they think that brand collaborations are going to start happening overnight, and that's not really a realistic approach to take, because ultimately you have to build your audience first, and you have to have a product that a brand is going to be interested in before
Mhm.
you can actually start being successful with collaborations, right? So you
Yeah.
need to have you need to go in with a realistic overview that this is going to take time. So for
Mhm.
instance, it took 12 months before my blog started making money, really started collaborating with brands on a larger scale, and then that snowball kept rolling type thing after
Mhm.
years of experience. So definitely build up your experience first, and don't go in and know what you can offer too. So for instance, if you are an excellent photographer, you might
Mhm.
not necessarily need um, a really well established platform if you can set up a portfolio that shows your skill in photography. But if you're trying to pitch brands based on your influence, so for instance, based on your blog or your Instagram channel, you will need actually to be fairly established and show that you've been around for a while. Because the other thing too is that brands don't want to invest in someone who's maybe 3 months old, because you could then close down your channel or close down your blog within the next month, right? So once again, I think it's playing to your strengths. So, for instance, if you know that you're great at photography, you can start reaching out to brands and say, "Hey, are you looking for a photographer? I would love to work with you and partner with you to
Mhm.
come on one of your trips, provide you with X, Y, Z," and you can list what you can provide them, the value that you have,
Mhm.
and then really the rest is negotiation. So you can decide if the value that you're getting in exchange for what you're giving
Mhm.
is kind of equal, then that might be how you go with it. You might
Yeah.
try and pitch a paid campaign. It's all kind of on an individual basis, and yeah, really depends on, once again, your strengths, your skills, and if you can. I guess one tip that I would say is just maintain professional relations with everybody you interact with throughout the whole course of your career, right? Because you don't know if one person you speak to
Mhm.
in 12 months' time, they might be working for a different company,
Yeah. Yeah.
and then they might remember, oh, this person was actually really great. Let's get them to come on a partnership with the new company that I'm working for. So, yeah, I would say probably that professionalism, keep a long-term goal in mind, and just reach out and ask. Like, you don't have to be, you don't necessarily have to be successful, and you won't be successful with every single pitch you put in. So, for instance, when we first started working with hotels, we would maybe pitch 20 hotels, and we would get one successful collaboration out of it. So, don't expect that you'll have success with every single pitch, but have a professional mindset to it, have a long-term goal, and yeah, I think those are probably the best tips that I can give.
Okay. Great. Thanks. Glad to hear these thoughts. So, have you ever been to India so far?
I haven't, no. So I would love to, and we have so much content on India on my website
Yeah.
from guest writers that have submitted guest posts, and it looks like an incredible country. Well, not even really a country, because India is a subcontinent, right? You have so
Yeah.
many
Right.
vast landscapes, and the
Mhm.
wildlife is something that we can't wait to do. Myself and my
Yeah.
husband really want to come and do a tiger safari,
Yeah.
because
Yeah.
that would be exceptional.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Absolutely.
so it is high on our list, but no, we
Okay.
haven't. Unfortunately, we haven't made it yet.
Okay. Okay. Once the COVID period gets over, I welcome you to India. You should travel India and create content here. Like, you will have enormous content here. The people you will meet here, the locals, you will have enormous number of stories here.
That would be amazing. No, I can't wait. So thank you. That's so kind.
Like, so like we will be coming into our podcast. So it was quite great interacting with you, and I'm sure my subscriber would love to know you better from our candid conversation today. And guys, go follow Megan on social media. She runs a blog named mappingmegan.com, and she also running a community for solo female travelers worldwide, which is over 60,000 plus members. And there is a giveaway also going on because of the fifth year celebration. So you can also participate in that giveaway as well. And once again, thanks everyone for watching this video. And Megan, do you have any last minute thoughts sharing right now?
just everybody feel free to connect. As I mentioned, I have quite an online addiction. So we're on Facebook, we're on Instagram, we're on Twitter, and as you mentioned, we have the Facebook group for Solo Female Travelers, and we also do have that giveaway running until the end of July. So yeah, we would love to connect with you. So feel free to say hi, drop over on Facebook, join our group, and yeah, we'll be there and we'll say hi and connect. And it'd be great to have new friends.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, guys, thank you. Thanks for watching. Thanks, Megan. Thanks for your time.
Thanks for having me.